Welcome back, listeners, to Sandman Stories Presents, a folklore podcast where I read you to sleep or until the next story. I'm your host, Dustin. Today we are back in the book of West African Folktales by W.H. Parker. In this story, a young man named Kwesi has an idol in his hair that helps him out. When he promises his mom that she will be buried with the elephant princess's tail, he needs that idol, or juju, to help him out. Okay? Let's begin. The Tale of the Princess Elephant. There once lived a woman who had 3 sons. These sons were very much attached to their mother and always tried to please her. She at last grew very old and feeble. The 3 sons began to think about what they could do to give her great pleasure. The eldest promised that when she was dead he would cut a fine sepulchre in stone for her. The second said he would make a beautiful coffin. The youngest said, "I will go and get the tail of the Princess Elephant and put it in the coffin with her." This promise was by far the hardest one to keep. Soon after this their mother died. The youngest son immediately set out on his search, not knowing in the least where he would be likely to find the tail. He traveled for 3 weeks, and at the end of that time he came to a little village. There he met an old woman, who seemed very much surprised to see him. She said no human creature had ever been there before. The boy told the tale of his search for the Princess Elephant. The old woman replied that this village was the home of all the elephants, and the princess slept there every night. But she warned him that if the animals saw him, they would kill him. The young man begged her to hide him, which she did in a great pile of wood. She also told him that when the elephants were all asleep, he must get up and go to the eastern corner. There he would find the princess. He must walk boldly over, cut off the tail, and return in the same manner. If he were to walk stealthily, the elephants would wake up and seize him. The animals returned as it was growing dark. They said at once that they smelled a human being. The old woman assured them that they were mistaken. Their supper was ready, so they ate it and went to bed. In the middle of the night, the young man got up and walked boldly across to where the princess slept. He cut off the tail and returned as he had come. He then started for home, carrying the tail very carefully. When daylight came, the elephants awoke. One said he had dreamed that the princess's tail was stolen. The others beat him for thinking such a thing. The second said he had also had the dream, and he was also beaten. The wisest of the elephants then suggested that they might do well to go and see if the dream were true. This they did. They found the princess fast asleep and quite ignorant of the loss of her tail. They woke her and all started off in chase of the young man. They traveled so quickly that in a few hours they came into his sight. He was afraid when he saw them coming, and he cried out to his favorite idol, which he always carried in his hair, "Oh, my Juju Dipor, what shall I do?" The Juju advised him to throw a branch of a tree over his shoulder. This he did, and it immediately grew up into a huge tree which blocked the path of the elephants. They stopped and began to eat up the tree, which took them some little time. Then they continued their way again. Again the young man cried, "Oh, my Juju Dipor, what shall I do?" "Throw that corncob behind you," answered the Juju. The lad did so, and the corncob immediately grew into a large field of maize. The elephants ate their way through the maze, but when they arrived at the other side, they found that the boy had reached home. So they had to give up the chase and return to their village. The princess, however, refused to do so, saying, "I will return when I have punished this impudent fellow." She thereupon changed herself into a very beautiful maiden, and taking a calabash cymbal in her hand, approached the village. All the people came out to admire this lovely girl. She had it proclaimed through the village that whoever succeeded in shooting an arrow at the cymbal should have her for a bride. The young men all tried and failed. An old man standing by said, "If only Kwesi, the cutter of the Princess Elephant's tail, were here, he would hit the cymbal." "Then Kwesi is the man I will marry," replied the maiden, "whether he hit the symbol or not." Kwesi was quickly fetched from the field where he was plowing, and told of his good luck. He, however, was not at all delighted to hear of it, as he suspected the maiden of some trick. However, he came and shot an arrow, which stuck at the center of the symbol. The damsel and he were accordingly married. She was all the time preparing to punish him. The night following their marriage, while Kwesi was asleep, she turned into an elephant. She then prepared to kill him, but Kwesi awoke in time. He called, "Oh, my Juju Dipor, save me!" The Juju turned him into a grass mat laying on the bed, and the princess could not find him. She was most annoyed, and next morning asked him where he had been all night. "While you were an elephant, I was the mat you lay on," replied Kwesi. The damsel took all the mats from the bed and burned them. The next night the princess again became an elephant and prepared to kill her husband. This time the Juju changed him into a needle, and his wife could not find him. She again asked him in the morning where he had been. Hearing that the Juju had helped him again, she determined to get hold of that idol and destroy it. Next day Kwesi was going again to his farm to plow a field. He told his wife to bring some food to the resting place. This time she had fairly made up her mind that he should not escape. When he had had his food, she said, "Now lay your head in my lap and sleep." Kwesi quite forgot that his Juju was hidden in his hair, and did as she bid. As soon as he was asleep, she took the Juju out of his hair and threw it into a great fire, which she had prepared. Kwesi awoke to find her an elephant once more. In great fear he cried out, "Oh, my Juju Dipor, what am I to do?" The only answer he got, however, came from the flames. "I am burning, I am burning, I am burning." Kwesi called again for help, and the Juju replied, "Lift up your arms as if you were flying." He did so, and turned into a hawk. That is the reason why hawks are so often seen flying in the smoke of fires. They are looking for their lost Juju. The end. I like how this story explains why hawks are often seen near fires. It really did come out of nowhere at the end of the story, though. Still, I thought it was pretty cool. I feel kind of bad for the elephant princess because she was just sleeping and some guy cut off her tail. How rude. And the podcast shout-out is to Ye Old Crime Podcast. This podcast covers crime of long ago. Sisters Lindsay and Maddie cover old-timey murders and mysteries, but that's not all. Lindsay also likes to crack open old dictionaries and look for cramp words, which was slang for a difficult word. She has on other podcasters and gives them a chance to show off their brains. You can find that podcast and many other cool ones on the Cultivate network of podcasts. And if you like them as much as I do, go and give them a like, a rating, and a review. And the listener shout-out is near and dear to my heart. Ypsilanti, Michigan. Named after Demetrius Ypsilantis, a hero of the Greek War of Independence. It is also the home to Eastern Michigan University, formerly Michigan State Normal School, where I went for my undergrad. Ypsi is also where Domino's Pizza was founded, and I worked in a pizza shop in the original location, but not a Domino's. And I look forward to visiting all my Ypsi friends this coming summer. So, to the people of Ypsi, thank you and good night.